Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the post-round at Game On Wisconsin. My name is MJ Hurley, and I am here with a unexpected victory Thursday evening post-route after Thursday Night Football. The Green Bay Packers with a 27-24 victory over the Arizona Cardinals, a game that not only should the Green Bay Packers not have won, but a game that I did not predict them to win, did not expect them to win, and honestly, on the pre-snap, I said I didn't even care if they won. I didn't even care about this football game. But when the Green Bay Packers took the lead, I absolutely took ownership of this game and said I care about this football game. And I would just like to state right now, this is a Rasul Douglas fan club meeting. This is the post route technically, but this is a Rasul Douglas fan club meeting, and it is starting now. Meeting is in session. So, ladies and gentlemen, oh my gosh. Just first and foremost, let's get excited. Let's get with what we got going on right now. This is Post Route at Game On Wisconsin, presented and sponsored by Artec Ventures. As always, thank you to Artec Ventures for taking care of us here at Game On Wisconsin. I don't even know where to start. This is one of the most exciting post games that I've done in a long time. This is going to be pure chaos. There's a very good chance that Jacob jumps in at some point because he just has access to the account and can jump in and say things whenever he'd like. So expect that. Expect a lot of chaos. First and foremost, just tell me how we're doing. Just tell me how you feel after that football game. As I was texting with my father, fellow Packers fans, things I did not expect was a victory. And just as the game went on, the Packers didn't fall away against the last remaining undefeated team in the NFL. I don't even have words for what's going on. Jacob, I see you're in here. Please come save me. Please come enjoy this with me. I don't even have words for what's going on, bro. Like, I felt like crap all week. Coming into this game, I did not expect a victory whatsoever. I expected Kyler Murray to have a vintage mobile quarterback game against the Packers. And up until the end, the last few minutes, I'm screaming at my girlfriend, I'm going to yell on this post game so much because I was just expecting to lose. And then here we are, Rasul Douglas fan club meeting. How's it feel? You enjoying yourself?
Oh my God. Well, I got a few things. First of all, I bet the Packers money line tonight. So that cashed.
Well, you're a happy man. Oh my gosh.
I bet the Packers plus 6.5. So that cashed.
Oh, there we go.
Third of all, I had to listen to everybody all freaking week tell me that Green Bay had no chance of winning this game. And I don't know how many times you guys need to see this happen to believe that. Watch the game. Just shut up and watch the game. Trust me. It's much more enjoyable that way. 1. 2, this team is really good. They just won a road game in Arizona without Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard, MBS, Z, Jair, a bunch of other freaking people that I can't even. I mean, the list keeps going. David Bakhtiari, like against an undefeated team, one of the best teams in the NFC. And it was a game where they shot themselves in the foot a bunch. Like they kicked a stupid field goal early in the first half and they pissed on themselves inside the goal. Like this should have been a 10-point game. It's a lot more fun this way. And you got a dude off the scrap heap, Rasul Douglas, man. He's been a revelation for this team.
We took honestly, him off the Cardinals practice squad 22 days ago.
Which is incredible. Just incredible by every stretch of that word that you can think of. It has been so much fun watching this team play this year. I know we all want to look ahead to what's this team going to look like next year and all that stuff, but it seems like every week there's something, just something. Last week it's Rashawn Gary just having a huge game and the red zone defense having a big day. The week before that, it was I Still Own You. The week before that, it was the missed field goals craziness. The week before that, it was Randall Cobb's big revelation. Tonight, it's just this team finds a way to win. And that is a trait that is going to matter. I know that down the road, people are going to point to point differentials and graphs and a bunch of other nerdy statistics that are useful, but just they don't tell the story when you watch this team play. When it's all said and done, Green Bay just won a game tonight with Aaron Rodgers throwing passes to Randall Cobb and a bunch of, like, this was a preseason game on the wide receiver depth chart. Like, and there was simple stuff that Green Bay could have done on offense that they just could. Like, everybody was pissing and moaning about the timeouts. The only one that was really bad was the last one that they called that ultimately cost them a delay of game penalty later. But
yeah,
like those timeouts, one of them, I remember the second one of the second half that they called was necessary because that play was going to get blown up if they ran it.
Yes.
Coming out of the timeout, they get the first down. Just having to get a bunch of dudes lined up that have, frankly, no idea what the hell they're doing. And why would they? Why would they have any idea what they're doing? These guys, like Juwan Winfrey, has a practice squad elevation. Equinemius St. Brown is wide receiver 7 when they have their preferred starters. Malik Taylor didn't play tonight. Amari Rodgers hasn't done anything of significance, had a couple of nice moments tonight. But I'm trying to see if Todd Varney's going to pop in on my TV here because I know he's at the game. But this is an offense that is missing its best player. Like, other than the quarterback, its best player.
Yeah.
And they found a way to do enough on offense, running the ball, play action passing. They protected well enough tonight. They got to figure out what the hell they're doing in the red zone because that stuff from inside, like both the sequence in the first half where they kicked a field goal, the sequence in the second half, coming out shotgun spread on 4th and 1 from the 1-inch line, just like
nothing
put 12 under
more than that.
And I get it. You can't just run a quarterback sneak every single time. Like, that's not possible. But put 12 under center and have A.J. Dillon and DeGuara just run right into him. And Aaron, your back's going to hurt a little bit tomorrow, but you got 10 days off. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
You mentioned the emphasis on stats. This is the only emphasis I want. How can you not be romantic about
Absolutely.
football? As I said before, I was so indifferent about this football game before it started. And as soon as I saw Aaron Rodgers diving headfirst towards the goal line, he probably assumes he won't be here next year. So he says, screw it. I'm just going to put my body on the line. Please, Aaron, don't do that again. We need you for the next 10 weeks. But I love it.
10 years.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, maybe not that long, but 12's coming back.
Maybe 2 or 3.
12's coming back. He's
coming back?
Yeah, you can screenshot this, you can post it, whatever. I mean, subject to change, obviously, based on what happens here the next 10 weeks. But Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback in Green Bay next year. I don't know how you can watch this team. And the only way that he's absolutely not is if he just decides after the season, yeah, screw it, I'm done, I'm out of here. But listen to him talk. There's no way.
I don't disagree. There was the quote
Go
this
ahead,
week.
Clip it. Dan, you've got a screen recorder. Clip it. Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback in Green Bay next year.
There was the quote this week where he said, basically, I'm here with my best friends playing good football. I love the town. I ride to work with Bakhtiari every day. How can I not be happy? Sounds like a man who wants to stay. Who knows?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he wants to stay. And I think that when you're playing in games like this, I mean, and this is a team that's 7-1 and hasn't, like, Rodgers made the joke after the game, we're stuck on 24 points. Like, he's right.
Yeah.
to a point. Like, they've got to find a way to get over that hump because against some of these other teams, they're going to have to score more points than that. But the defense, I give them a bunch of credit. 21 points, 2 turnovers tonight against a high-flying offense. Just, I think this sums it up really, really well. What the fuck? Like, what just happened?
And honestly, this is, so I was talking to some Packers fans during the game. My friend Mason is really big on, he didn't like the play calling. He didn't like some of the situational decisions by Matt LaFleur, the timeouts. You and I saw plenty of that on Twitter. Here's my thing. In 2010, when the Packers win the Super Bowl, I know Aaron Rodgers made the comparison the other day in press conferences about the media and with the media about the injuries. One of the other comparisons I would make is some of those games they won in 2010 were so ugly and just they shouldn't have won. Weird people made and obviously we want to compare to a Super Bowl winning team, right? Because we want to win the Super Bowl again. But the Packers have not won a game in a pretty fashion yet. And looking at their schedule, I don't see a game where they will win pretty until they play the
Detroit,
Lions
if you want
again.
to call that one.
Exactly. Maybe Kansas
I don't-
City if Kansas City keeps sucking, but like
There will be a
they're
point, I
going to
think, where they
play.
find their stride because they're going to get Adams should be back. You know, if Adams, assuming he's
Yeah.
healthy and everything, that 10 days will expire that he needs to quarantine before he can come
Mhm.
back. So that'll expire before, so he could play next week. They should get Lazard back, assuming everything checks out with him. MVS, they thought might be able to come back for this game as well. Obviously not. So they'll get those guys back. They're going to get Bakhtiari back. Like, that's the thing about this team is they're winning. They're 7-1, and their second best player on offense, arguably, has not played one snap. David Bakhtiari hasn't played a single snap. Now, kudos to Elton Jenkins for doing what he's done. That ain't David Bakhtiari. And there's so much I think this offense is going to. And not only that, the trade deadline's on Tuesday. I think they're adding something. I don't know if it's on offense or defense, but they're adding something.
Give me Brandon Cooks.
I mean, I don't know what all is like who's available and who's not. I don't even know if Brandon Cooks is theoretically available. I know that
he's available, and financially, it's possible.
Affordable. Yeah,
it would make it difficult to make any moves for the rest of the year, but it's possible, and that's the type of move that our entire lives as Packers fans before this never would have happened. So I'm just conditioned to not even thinking about it. But I didn't think they'd trade for Randall Cobb. I didn't there are a lot of moves they've made I didn't think they would make.
Yeah, by the way, somebody tell me we don't need Randall Cobb again. Somebody tell me that again. That dude.
Listen, I was just as upset as most people. I was just as upset as most people, but it was more because Rodgers held the organization hostage all summer and then didn't throw to Randall Cobb the first few weeks when this is what Cobb could have been doing. Like, imagine how different the offense would have been the first few weeks. Weird. Yeah. A guy Rodgers trusts and is still a good slot receiver. Throw him the ball. This is what happens when you throw him the ball.
Yeah, I think they were trying to find ways to do that. You know, the thing I like about this game too is some of the analysis that you get about Aaron Rodgers is just the way that Green Bay played. Like, the analysis about Rodgers is always that he doesn't do what the defense gives him. He just always wants to look for kill shots. But tonight, it was ugly for a long time. Like, he only had 70 yards passing by the middle to end of the third quarter. Alex, you're right. That's hell. I don't even know.
Yeah. We're so confused. We don't know what to talk about, basically.
Yeah, win of the season. I think that's a good way to put it. You know, this is the best team they've played, with all due respect to the Cincinnati Bengals, who apparently are very good. Yeah. The Cardinals are good. They're at home, and Green Bay was missing everybody. This is and I know Matt LaFleur made some mistakes and such in the red zone at the end, but this is a sign of a team that is coached by someone who's a very good coach and has an all-time great under center. Like, anytime you have those two things, so anytime you think Green Bay can't win, just remember, anytime you have those two things, I don't want to make the comparison of Bill Belichick because Matt LaFleur is not that. But Patriots always had a shot when they had Belichick and Tom Brady. And now the Packers, on a smaller level, because 12 is not as good as Brady all time, and Belichick is better than Matt LaFleur. And I think that as long as they have those two guys, though, they always have a shot at something, because I thought LaFleur dialed some cool stuff up. They set some stuff up. It's all that. So the guy who said, I'm sorry, I missed your name, but if LaFleur doesn't win Coach of the Year, the NFL people should be fired. Like, this is the curse of, it's like when you're in the NBA and you play with LeBron James or Giannis, or one of those great players. When you win, that guy is going to get all the credit.
And when you lose, you're supposed to.
That's why, like, the other day, somebody said, Matt LaFleur is 33-7 in 40 games. That is
ridiculous.
Incredible. Yeah,
that's
historic. Asinine. Like, that's not supposed to happen. And this was the worst hire of that cycle. Shout out to NFL media types. Thank you very much for that. But Matt LaFleur is not going to get any credit because they say it's the easiest job because he has Aaron Rodgers, completely forgetting. And I don't hate Mike McCarthy. I don't. But it's completely forgetting the fact that Green Bay sucked for pretty much most of 2016. I know that's weird to say because they played in the NFC Championship game, but it's true.
Yeah.
2017, they were bad for a long stretch with Brett Hundley. Rodgers was hurt. 2018, they weren't good. Mike McCarthy gets fired. And 2015, Rodgers was not good at all. So miss me with the anybody could do it. Like Matt LaFleur, they could stick, a tackling dummy out there and make him, and the Packers can win that way. That's not true. Matt LaFleur has been fantastic from day one, completely changed the culture of this toxic locker room.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. He's been very good.
And listen, exactly to your point, the expectation was that no matter who the Packers hired, Matt LaFleur or anyone else, they were going to clash with Aaron Rodgers. And say what you will about their 2020 season, the ability that those two had, and I give Matt LaFleur so much credit for sitting down with Aaron Rodgers and saying, what do you want? Like, what offense do you want? Let's take all of your time in Green Bay, everything I know from Los Angeles and Washington, and let's make an offense that will be historic. And you see now why this type of offense has been able to take Jimmy Garoppolo, Jared Goff to the Super Bowl, and allows Aaron Rodgers to do whatever he wants against an undefeated Arizona Cardinals with guys that have been on the practice squad all year. No disrespect to Winfrey and Equanimeous St. Brown and Amari Rodgers, who has barely gotten any playing time. But, Randall Cobb got traded for a very low draft pick. Like, these are guys that should not be the main impact players in a primetime game of the year type game. And Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur made it work.
Yeah, and this is where the criticism of Mike McCarthy becomes valid when he was here, was that when Adams wasn't, like, if this was still coached by Mike McCarthy, then it would be, okay, Adams is out, we'll just plug in EQ and do the same stuff, and EQ is just the Devontae guy this week. That doesn't work. I mean, frankly, it's just you can't run offense that way any longer. McCarthy has evolved to some degree, at least in Dallas. How much, I don't know. I mean, he doesn't really call the plays down there in Dallas, but this isn't a Mike McCarthy show. It's a Matt LaFleur thing, and LaFleur's done a very good job of, and what he does is you can see it. Who are my best players on the field? Okay, my best players are Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. So who touches the ball the most tonight? Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. That's not surprising. I mean, that's the way that it had to be. And kudos to the Packers for it would have been like the only thing this game was missing was just that punctuation from Aaron Jones, or Dillon slamming the ball into the end zone on that final drive from the 1-inch line. I had like Jerry Kramer visions in my head where he said Lombardi used to always tell them, if you can't gain a yard, then you don't deserve to be champions. Like, that's the only thing missing from this game was Green Bay wasn't able to gain that one last yard. So kudos to the defense, though. And you know what? I think this is something that could be a positive for them, because how many times that's a really good,
exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't know the answer to that question, but I think that this could be a positive thing for this team in the long run, because at some point the defense is going, like, how many times have you seen it? Rodgers leaves the field with the lead. Offense has done what it's quote unquote supposed to do. Defense comes on the field, game's over, and they lose. I know that it was kind of a lucky play, if you will, to win the game, but they made it. And how many times has Green Bay made that play over the last 10 years? Never. Once. Like,
very rarely.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. They haven't won their games on the defensive side of the ball, and that's something they're going to have to do. And it's a defense that, like you mentioned, MJ, doesn't have their best cornerback. Eric Stokes looked like a rookie tonight. That can't be undershot. Now, were they fortunate that DeAndre Hopkins pretty much didn't play tonight?
Very fortunate. Yeah,
but okay. I'm pretty sure that the Packers are still coming out ahead in we're missing guys front. So
yeah,
I think, Green Bay's in a good spot. They're 7-1, and now they have that tiebreaker over the Arizona Cardinals. This is a game, to me, that reminds me of last year's game against New Orleans, where Green Bay beats New Orleans in New Orleans, and they hold that tiebreaker at the end of the year. Green Bay, New Orleans finished with the same record. Who gets the bye? Green Bay does. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Very good point. Adrian Amos made that play in 2019. You are correct, but it doesn't happen very often. That's right.
Yes. And to your point, Jacob, the Green Bay Packers are just historically are so much better at home. And one of the things I said on pre-snap, one of the reasons I didn't particularly think this game mattered a bunch is I don't think Arizona is going to be in NFC bye contention, personally. I don't think they're in the I don't think they're in the Tampa Bay, LA, Green Bay category. I think those are the 3 teams that'll be competing for the bye at the end of the season. I think Arizona's going to be incredible, but I don't think they're going to win the West, and I don't think they're going to be in contention for that bye.
I do.
Especially, and again, I'm going to look at this game moving forward. If the Cardinals can't beat the Packers tonight, how are they going to beat the Packers when they're more healthy in the playoffs? How are they going to beat the Rams at full strength? How are they going to beat the Bucks at full strength?
They already have beaten the Rams at full strength, to be fair, but
that's fair.
Your point is taken.
Yeah, and so, for the Cardinals, who, again, in my opinion, if they are a wild card team, they're going to have to run through 2, maybe 3. They might have to run through the Packers, Rams, and Bucks if they're a wild card team.
Murderer's row.
Exactly. That is not – the Cardinals are just not going to do that flat out. So I'm not really concerned about them. I don't – and, obviously it's great to get the win. It's great to hold that tiebreaker if necessary. But that's why before the game I was like, well, it's nice if we win this game. But given the injuries, I didn't expect it. And it was more of just a bonus if we did. It's a huge bonus, and I'm really happy now. But I didn't expect it, and that was kind of my thought process behind my indifference going into the game.
Yeah, my wife asked me before the game how I feel. Is like, how did I feel about the game? I was like, I don't have expectations. Like, if Green Bay got blown out tonight, I would just pivot very quickly to, okay, no Tay, no MVS, no blah, blah,
right.
blah, blah, go down that list again. But I didn't feel like that was going to happen. Like I said, I don't make bets that I don't think I can win.
Right.
So I bet on Green Bay to win. And I would have bet on them with other people if they wanted to put money into. Hell, my entire Slack channel at Game On Wisconsin apparently decided the game was over on Monday afternoon. Shout out to all of you guys. Thank you very much. I'm here till next week. But again, like I just mentioned, this team can beat anybody. Line them up against whoever you want. Tampa Bay, the Rams, whoever the hell you think the best team in the AFC is. I'll take them all. And I don't care which one, because this team has something about them, and it's not hit its stride yet. You mentioned 2010. You talked about how there are some games in there that compare. I mean, I think back to some of those ugly losses they had. They lost to Detroit in Detroit. They don't lose to Detroit almost ever. They lost in Detroit. No. They lost back-to-back games in overtime right in the middle of the season. They won a game 9-0 against the New York Jets. There is so much that Green Bay can do and eventually hit their stride. And like I said, they might add something here. But even if they don't, they have enough. As long as Jair Alexander is able to come back. If Alexander can't play the rest of the season, if it's announced he has to have surgery, that's one I don't think can overcome. And this is another one where nothing on Tunyon yet, just that he was questionable to return, and Kingsley Keke left the game with a concussion. So thoughts with him, because he had a really gruesome concussion last year. He missed like 4 or 5 games at the end of the year. So hopefully they can get some. Well. Yes, he has. He played really well tonight. The Packers, I thought their front, until Arizona basically had to play fast break there in the middle of the second half. When Green Bay played them like in structure, I thought they did really well and were able to get home. I mean, Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, the big pass play later to Chase Edmonds where he breaks defense. Preston Smith was getting tackled. Like, the dude doesn't have those numbers. It's very similar to Rashawn Gary's season this year. And talk about Rashawn Gary's sack luck. The first play of the game, he blows through the right tackle, has Murray dead rights, and because Kyler Murray's 5'0", he grabs his face mask. Like, that's just bad luck. But overall, again, how can you not be pleased? Are you not entertained? And what was it you had? How can you not be romantic about football? Because tell me you weren't in the lowest of the lows when they come up to the line of scrimmage on that play to AJ Green. And then all of a sudden, shout out to my mom for taking my daughter to her house tonight, because she's asleep by now. I'm pretty sure of that. And she would not be asleep if she was at home.
She would be wide awake.
I made some very loud noises that you shouldn't make with a sleeping baby in the house. Yes.
And yeah, I mean, legitimately, I was expecting Aaron Rodgers to need to pull off another Hail Mary to win that football game. When they lined up on that final play, 16 seconds left, I was on the phone with one of my buddies. I'm like, oh, this is over. Okay. It was a good game. And we're still they throw the ball. AJ Green just doesn't look around. Like, it was very clear that play was designed for AJ Green, or at least it looked like it. And for a
Everybody
veteran
knew
like
that except AJ Green, apparently.
Apparently, I don't know. But for a veteran like AJ Green to just not even turn around, just utter lack of awareness. I don't know what's more impressive. His lack of awareness, Rasul Douglas's interception. I don't even know. But yeah, I had full on hands on my head, just utter awe and amazement.
I
When
gotta
that
stop
play
watching like
happened.
primetime games with my brother or something like that, because, or maybe I got to keep doing it. I don't know, because they all seem to end the same way. The last time I did this show with you was after the Niners game, which
Yeah,
was just as fun, and that's how everything happened up there. It was just like jump up. I think I don't even remember. I screamed something like, "Oh my god, we win!" or something like that. Like
yeah.
I cannot believe what happened. I still am in utter disbelief of this last play. Like I was content once he let go of the ball and I saw Green didn't turn around. One, I just kind of looked around for a flag.
I was
Two,
absolutely expecting some sort of flag.
yes, and I was convinced that I was just content with it being incomplete and hoping that they would kick a field goal and we could go to overtime and maybe get the ball first for a change and win. But
Yeah.
I don't think enough is being made. Like Rasul Douglas, here, let me pose this question to you. Let's say Jair comes back.
Yes.
Rasul Douglas is objectively, through 3 games, albeit, playing better than Eric Stokes. And this is not a knock on
Yes.
Eric Stokes, even if it sounds like one. Does Rasul Douglas stay on the field as one of the team's top 2 corners? Like I
Yes,
said, you
he
couldn't put him on the
does.
bench for Kevin King, but now
Yes.
we're talking about
Oh,
a
don't even
rookie.
get me started. Yes. Rasul Douglas, number 2 corner, Eric Stokes in the slot. That's what I
That
want.
could be interesting. Excuse me. That could be interesting because of his speed. He just hasn't played there very much. So,
Yes.
and Chandon
But
Sullivan's been fine, but is an upgradable piece. I do.
yeah, so I think Douglas is a better pure coverage. Obviously, Eric Stokes has the intangibles on the guy. He has the speed on him. He has the size on him, I believe. But Douglas has played so well. Is that going to happen if he? I mean, he's already facing the number twos of every team. And some of the times tonight, he was lined up against the ones that the Cardinals were throwing out there. So I would have absolutely no problem with him being the number 2. And then, Stokes is the 3. That drops Kevin King all the way down to at most guarding the 4th receiver. But there's absolutely no reason he should ever be on the field because Chandon Sullivan should be guarding in the slot. So, I mean, that makes me so much more comfortable with our defensive back group. And even if it's just like a Tremont Williams-esque thing with Rasul Douglas, where he may not be incredible, but he's just a solid cover guy who's not going to make atrocious mistakes. That's all I need. I just don't need guys running free in the secondary, which is what they pointed out on the broadcast tonight. Stokes does that once in a while. He has the catch-up speed, so most of the time he can get away with it. King doesn't have the catch-up speed anymore. So with Douglas playing well, if Jair comes back, there's no reason Kevin King should ever touch the football field.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is you're going to need these guys, and these problems, unfortunately, tend to solve themselves, right? Like somebody gets injured, something like that's just the unfortunate. It's a rough game. Football's a rough game, and tonight it was a mash unit. Like by the end of the game, like Green Bay and Arizona just have to. I will not be surprised tomorrow to find out Chase Edmonds' shoulder is just mangled because that dude. And kudos to him.
Everyone was saying
phenomenal.
broken collarbone.
It was crazy to watch that. It was absolutely incredible. I would say with Stokes specifically, and yes, I think that's a good point by my guy Dan here, but I think that with Stokes, like I mentioned, I don't want to make it sound like I'm knocking him because I'm not. But
right. He's a rookie. Like keep that
exactly,
in mind.
and he's had some really good games. Like I mean, what he did against Jamar Chase, albeit in a smallish sample, is better than what a lot of teams have done to Jamar Chase this year. And like Jamar Chase is not your normal rookie because your normal rookies don't have that chemistry with their quarterback right off the bat. So moving back to Stokes, he's had some nice moments. He's had some bad moments. Like rookies are going to do that. And rookie corners, typically, that's the hardest position to learn how to play, especially the difference between college and the pros. Like he's got some flaws in his game that he's just going to need to work on. I still am not really sure what the hell was going on that deep ball to DeAndre Hopkins early in the game.
I don't want to know. I don't want to think about it. I don't care.
But it'll be fine. The thing is now he's been like the value you mentioned covering other teams' number 2s and stuff. this guy's been covering number one receivers for like
Right.
last week. He was not quite shadowing, but covering Terry McLaurin, and he had a nice pass breakup on him on a 4th down. That was a big
Right.
play. Got beat for a touchdown too. So it's going to be the ups and downs of a rookie player. And you're just hoping to find some of those ups when you get into the postseason.
Well, listen, when we get to, and this is, Matt LaFleur has mentioned this, I've tried to bring this up multiple times throughout the last few weeks. The depth that the Green Bay Packers are going to have when we hit December and January is going to be, in my opinion, their biggest strength, Aaron Rodgers being our quarterback. Because you're going to have guys like Eric Stokes, Rasul Douglas, who've been matching up against DeAndre Hopkins and the number one of any team that we've played while Jair is gone. So if Jair comes back, now we've got dudes who we were comfortable with matching up against ones, matching up against 2s and 3s. We've got backup offensive linemen starting for weeks on end. When we have our fully healthy offensive line, if one of them gets hurt in the playoffs, I'm not going to bat an eye at Lucas Patrick or Newman or Runyon, whoever is sitting at that time, coming back in and playing. That is something that the majority of NFL teams won't be able to say. Obviously, having the continuity, having the health throughout the year is great, but having that depth and being comfortable with your depth more than anything, that's something that I think could potentially take us over the edge.
Yeah, and this is something that tonight, I believe, and I probably should have checked this because I know I talked about this yesterday, but I think tonight was the first time the Packers played the same 5 guys from left to right on the offensive line in a game, whether injuries or something like
back-to-back games. Oh, back-to-back games.
And back-to-back games. So last week, I know they played Jenkins to Turner, from left to right with the same guys in the interior with Patrick and Big Dirt. But this week, that's the first time. I think that's the first time they've done that. I'm going to have to look at that because I know week 1 they ran with Jenkins and then Patrick, and then the next week John Runyon started.
Right.
Week 3 against
San Francisco. They didn't
because Yosh played. Maybe week 4 against Pittsburgh. Like maybe week 3 and week 4 they had Yosh and then everybody from left to right that way. That sounds right to me now that I say that. But
still,
I'm curious.
There's been very little continuity.
Yeah, and they're not going to have continuity for most of the year because eventually they're going to get Bakhtiari back and move Jenkins inside and all that good stuff. But that's a good problem to have when you're getting, I always joke the baseball teams at the trade deadline, when they have an injured player, I always say, well, we view such and such a player as a trade deadline acquisition. Well, this is a Green Bay team that's going to get at the deadline or shortly after David Bakhtiari and maybe Jair Alexander. Like that. And now even Adams, MVS, Lizard, like can't be understated. I think how important that's going to be. If David Bakhtiari is healthy, I mean, if you want to play ifs and buts, we can. But if Bakhtiari is healthy last year, I am very confident Green Bay's in the Super Bowl. Like that's how close this team was last year.
Yeah,
and they might be better overall this year because the offense I still think is going to hit that stride, and their defense is better. Like at this point, honestly, I know they gave up 14 points in the second half and they struggled a little bit and made a big play at the end, but at this point, what the hell can your complaints be about the defense?
They
serious
are
question. Serious question.
So much better than expectations. They've been so good that I don't believe it yet. Like I'm just waiting for the normal Green Bay Packers defense that I normally see to come back because that's what I've seen. Like it's so weird to have a good defense at every level. Even within, it's just weird. I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Yeah, because this is. I mean, even in 2019, like after those first couple games where Rodgers smiles and tells her we got a defense.
Yeah,
and then it was just kind of like, kind of.
You've got 2 pass rushers.
Yeah, if a team's going to drop back pass 40 times a game, we got a defense. But if we got to play like within some kind of structure, like you saw San Francisco, I don't have to go any further than that. But like now in 2020 last year, it was like the same kind of like this defense. The Packers defense has never played this well for this long of a stretch. Like in 2019, they were good for a while. They had that good first couple games against Chicago and Minnesota and some of the other fodder that they played early in the season. But overall, I think this is a group that is stronger and going to get better because, like we've mentioned, they've been playing without dudes. The only guy that is injured that I don't think will be back at some point is Z. Like, I really struggle to see him come back this season. But I know this, like, you're never going to be better without Zadarius Smith, but they can survive that one.
They'll be okay. Yeah.
Because they have Preston and they have Rashawn Gary, my son, that I love and am very well pleased with. And Whitney Merciless has had a couple, like, he's close, man. Like, Merciless is going to make a play or two here. Maybe it's next week against Pat. You know, I'm curious to see, like, what this win. What do you think? Because I remember when they stole that win against San Francisco, I kind of talked about how they could be 6-1 going into this game, and they were. And now they're 7-1. So what do you think this win means? Because now they play Kansas City on the road. They're home against Seattle. They're going to be favored against Seattle. It'll probably be like a pick 'em, -3 for Kansas City, something like that.
Yeah.
And then they play Minnesota on the road, and then they play the Rams. So what do you think this win means for the next 4 games here on the schedule? Because this was a big one.
They very well could win the next 3 games. I'm not worried about Kansas City right now. That defense is awful. And Patrick Mahomes is playing that 2015, 2017 Aaron Rodgers hero ball is what he's doing right now.
Yeah.
And we got a couple ball hawks now.
Adam Rank's got to talk about the Packers winning. That's funny. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I like that. That makes me happy. I don't know. Seattle doesn't worry me at all, obviously, right now. I very well could see them winning those 3 football games. And that puts them, 10-1 going against LA?
LA. Yeah.
At that point, that game's, again, that's another one where I'm like, yeah, obviously I want to win it. But if we're 10-1, I don't care.
Well, the other thing though is LA might be. They
could very well be 10-1. Yeah.
Yes.
So obviously that would be a seeding game at that point again. But man, if they can beat KC, Seattle, and Minnesota, right, going into that game against LA, they are going to be on a 10-game winning streak, on so much fire. And Aaron Rodgers, the thing about the offense right now is Aaron Rodgers doesn't even have to do anything for the most part. Like, he's doing his thing, but he didn't even throw for 200 yards today, did he?
I don't know if he just got over towards the end there. I don't think he did, though.
But if he did, he barely threw for 200. Like, we're used to, if the Packers win a game like this, Rodgers is at 380, 400. And now you have a complement of running backs where an extension of our running game is just throwing these ridiculously well-schemed 9-yard screen passes to Aaron Jones. And
184 passing yards total. They ran for 151 yards on the ground. Between Dylan and Aaron Jones, they had, let's do some quick math here, 131 yards. I think that's that. So, no, that's really bad math. 17, carry the 137. So I'm bad at math. But, yeah, it's 184 yards passing, 137 on the ground between those guys. Obviously, a play to Amari Rodgers. That's something that Green Bay could incorporate. Like, Amari Rodgers, I don't think is going to be a big contributor this year.
No.
Is something that you can try to find ways to get him comfortable. And they've started to do that tonight. They did it basically out of necessity. But,
yeah,
I'm with you. Like, if you had told me 3 years ago, Green Bay is going to play a game, they're 6-1. They're going to play a team that's 7-0. On the road, and Aaron Rodgers threw for 184 yards. I tell you, Green Bay lost by 30.
That we got absolutely smashed.
And now they won. Like, I mean, this is a team that can win. They talked about it on the postgame show on Fox. I think it was Greg Olson and Mark Sanchez going back. Mark Sanchez, bad at quarterback, pretty good on TV.
Very true.
But going back and forth between who and how Green Bay needs to win and like just all these, and they're like, they don't need Rodgers to throw for 400 yards anymore. Like, they can have him still be Superman because he still has I think Ben Fennell makes this argument all the time, is he has the ability to play Superman, but mostly just needs to play Clark Kent. Yeah. And that's not a bad thing. Like, Tom Brady has
the rest of the offense put together is now Superman.
Right. And Tom Brady's won 1 million Super Bowls by the ability to play Superman, but having the ability to play Clark Kent. Because, again, if Rodgers doesn't play well, typically the Packers don't win. And I'm not saying
Right.
Rodgers didn't play well tonight. This is one of those games where I don't think the box score tells the story of how Green Bay and Rodgers specifically played. Like 184 yards passing, sure. But also, like, those are practice squad receivers out there.
Yeah.
Like,
And,
guys that next week they won't even be on the team. Like, next week,
Yeah.
Juwan Winfrey will be on the practice squad. EQ might get cut. Like, I know that's a bit of a rough business thing, but it's possible they're going to bring those 3 guys back. They're not running with 7 receivers.
No, especially with the offensive line and inconsistency and injuries. They got to keep more linemen than receivers. Yeah. And to your point, 15 incompletions for Rodgers tonight, 22 for 37. Again, I'd have to rewatch the whole game, but I'd have to believe at least 10 of those 15 incompletions are more on the receivers. There were so many times that he was just screaming at guys coming back to the huddle. And it's hilarious because, to your point, most of those dudes won't even be on the team next year. But, Rodgers is so precise at this point, even in a newer offense to him. He's so precise. He knows where they're supposed to be. And if they're not there, he's going to let them hear it. But, it's incredible that his 2 touchdowns, 184 yards passing, is a bad game for Aaron Rodgers. And, he won't win an MVP this year because he's not throwing for as many yards and not throwing for as many touchdowns. But he very well might be the best player on the best team in the NFL by the time it's all said and done.
Right. And ultimately, I know we talk a lot on these shows, and content creators talk a lot about his individual legacy and blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't care about any of that stuff.
No,
like,
I could not care less about Rodgers' legacy.
No, he's won 3 MVPs. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Like, that is cemented. There's no question about that. That being said, what is going to make his legacy bigger is team stuff. And I care about this team winning a Super Bowl. Like, we talk about this all the time where, getting there in that second ring. Like, I don't care about that. I care about, like, one, the Packers winning a 5th world title, but more so guys like Big Dog and some of the Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, dudes that haven't won a Super Bowl, like getting something for those guys. Now, we got a long way to go before Green Bay can start talking Super Bowl and everything like that. But you're right. I don't think 12 is going to win the MVP this year, but I think he cares, but he doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, that's not that big of a deal to him. He's worried about winning.
Yeah. He proved his point last year. He can go crazy.
Right.
Now he wants to win a ring. Yeah.
And that'll happen. Like, he'll have games where he just goes bonkers. But those games are going to be fewer and further between. And that's fine. Green Bay is more than capable of winning games the way that they are. Like, I mean, they have a running game that when it's working and clicking can just suck the life out of the teams that they're playing against.
Yeah.
And then you couple that with play action passing with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and some of the other guys they have on this roster. Again, this offense is going to click at some point.
Yeah.
It's just going to take a little bit of time, but they're able to win in a variety of ways, which is something they haven't been able to do even last year, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So it is late. Quick, before we hop off, real quick, I just want to do offensive and defensive MVPs. So, Jacob, offensive MVP for this game.
Oh, man. I've got to go with Aaron Jones. Like, he was clearly the focal point in the offense. He had 7 catches to go with his yards on the ground as well. And, we mentioned Aaron Rodgers' passing yards and all that sort of stuff. But a lot of those were like extended running plays because those screens and that little like 4x1 stuff they were running to Jones, all that stuff was basically a running play. If I like, this is almost where I went, Gabriel. I hope I didn't butcher that. I'm sorry. But if either one of those guys scored a touchdown on that last series, that would have been like the tiebreaker for me.
Yes.
But so I'm taking Jones, and the Packers, they got a really good backfield tandem. And I think they're lucky to have those guys.
And I will go the other way. I'll go with Gabriel. I will go A.J. Dillon because when the Packers needed a couple first downs, A.J. Dillon, and this is one of the things Derrick Henry does so well, even if he gets stopped, he at least falls forward. And Dillon does that way better than Jones. Obviously, Dillon is just a much larger human than Aaron Jones is, so I don't blame Aaron Jones for that. But even if A.J. Dillon gets stuffed, he always gets a couple yards. And that was huge for the Packers tonight when they were struggling. They just kept getting positive yards. And so there was much less 2nd and 10, second and 12, third and 11, where Rodgers had to go split out 5 wide. Every time I saw them split out 5 wide tonight, I was very unhappy because it meant that most likely our running backs were not getting involved and we didn't have the wide receivers to do that tonight. So A.J. Dillon kept the running game afloat. To be honest, kept Matt LaFleur going with the running game and kept the Arizona Cardinals honest. That did everything I needed tonight offensively.
Yeah, it did. And, A.J. Dillon is somebody that I think is just going to keep getting better. I will say Ross Uglum pointed this out. He was actually at the game tonight. Shout out to Packer Report. But he's got to hang on to the ball. That's 2 weeks in a row. He had 2 fumbles last week, and he had 1 tonight where I know the ground caused it and it didn't count and blah, blah, blah. But, you got to hang on to the ball, man, because there's going to be some bigger spots where that's really going to sting. But I think, either one of the backs, that's a good answer for either one here.
And then defensively, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is the Rasul Douglas fan club meeting. So I think we're going to stay away from that because that's obvious and easy.
Oh,
so
shit.
Other than our favorite human being on the face of the earth tonight, Rasul Douglas, who is your defensive MVP? Because I'm not going to let you get away easy by saying that.
That's fine. I'm going to pick actually my hometown hero, and that is Dean Lowry. I think he had a couple nights where he just pushed the pocket. I think they gave him credit for the sack, even though it never officially was nobody touched Kyler when he went down. But I thought Lowry had a nice night pushing the pocket. And listen, Dean Lowry's played well for a month. This isn't a 1-game stretch. He's played well for a month. So I'm happy for that. I'm happy to see him doing some good things because this team is better overall when, they did give him credit for that sack. So Packers had 2 of those tonight against Kyler Murray, but this team is better when they have Lowry and Kiki by extension playing better next to Kenny Clark. So give me Mean Dean there in the middle.
I'm going to go the other revenge game that we had today, Devondre Campbell, because the amount of times that man was flying around the field. My honorable mention is Rashawn Gary because the amount of times his name was mentioned on the broadcast tonight, he was just consistently in Murray's face. But Devondre Campbell, he had a sack himself. He just did very well playing contain while also playing his middle of the field zone. And the ability he had tonight to do both of those at the same time, barely heard Zach Ertz's name the majority of the night. He did very little. Obviously, he's newer to the Arizona offense, still a Pro Bowl level tight end. And Devondre Campbell was able to simultaneously limit Murray's running game for the most part and limit Zach Ertz, 2 of the most impactful players on that offense. I can't ask for more. Stat sheet may not be incredible. I mean, he's going to have a good amount of tackles and a sack on there. Not as impressive as Rasul Douglas or Henry Black with the interceptions, but the man did so much. And also the ability to lead that defense with our defensive coordinator on the couch at home and the absolute chaos that the broadcast described was our play calling today, being able to decipher that and lead the defense tonight. That is one of the most impressive performances I've seen from a Packers linebacker in a long time.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a pick that you could go with. It was kind of a collective effort. And obviously, if you're not going to let me pick Rasul Douglas, who they should build a statue for between Lombardi and Lambeau outside of Lambeau Field, then we'll go, one of those guys. Dre has been a revelation for this team. He had a sack tonight, like you mentioned, and getting Kyler Murray on the ground is not an easy thing to do. He is very fast, no question.
Yeah.
But it's been fun to watch an actual player at inside because the Packers, Jalen Smith is a healthy scratch. Chris Barnes is not a whole lot. I can't imagine where this defense would be without Dre. And I know he had a big miss late in the game, but we'll forget about that because they had the interception and that forgives a lot of ills, but he's been phenomenal. And he's a Pro Bowl linebacker if the Pro Bowl is tomorrow, which hopefully he can't play in because he's busy.
Exactly. I love it. Okay. So we did offensive and defensive MVPs. Jacob, Packers went 27-24.
Oh, okay.
What?
It was 24-21 too. It wasn't 27-24.
It was 24-21?
Yeah, dude.
Was
Wake
it?
up, man.
Math is hard, bro.
Reading is even harder.
There's a reason I'm a comm major. and not math or anything like
Come
that.
on, man. I'm a comm major too. Don't be giving us a bad name. I'm a comm graduate. I got a big shiny degree in my room.
Oh, I don't graduate for another 2 months. Well, a month and a half at this point. That's terrifying.
God
We don't
damn
need to
it,
talk
I'm
about
old.
that.
Thank you.
Yes, Jacob, thank you for joining me on the show. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media. Do a lot of good things. MVS show every Tuesday. Jacob causes chaos. I cause a little bit every game day as well. So, Jacob, thank you for joining us on the show as always. Thank you to Artech Ventures for sponsoring us at Game On Wisconsin and taking care of us. Any last words before we go, Jacob?
No, just enjoy the ride, guys. It's been a lot of fun. We're gonna have some cool stuff here at Game On, and hopefully able to cover a Super Bowl. So I'm all the way interested in stuff like what Mike Kawano. Look at this freaking guy. You're showing up right as the show ends. But yeah, kudos to Mike. Shout out to Mike because I'm pretty sure that you were one of those dudes saying we couldn't win either. So thank you, appreciate it. And the money line cashes, baby. The Green Bay Packers are profitable tonight.
Love to hear it. As always, thank you everybody for watching, participating. This is the Post Ride Game On Wisconsin. Jacob, see you next week.